Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019, and I'm Dave Sobel. 4 things to know today. 4 Facebook feature changes, security data and an FBI warning, Google workers discuss a union, and firmware security from Microsoft. This is the business of tech. Facebook is at the center of it all again in the past few days with a number of updates. The company announced a series of updates designed to counter interference in the 2020 elections. The changes include a list of things. First, the launch of Facebook Protect, which are features designed to secure candidates' accounts, including two-factor authentication and specific monitoring for hacking. Facebook Pages will have new information added about the owner, including the organization's legal name, city, phone number, or website. Publishers that are wholly or partially under the editorial control of their government will be labeled as state-controlled media. A new tracking tool to see how much presidential candidates are spending on Facebook, and an API to allow researchers to sort through advertising data. Finally, false or partially false photos and videos, including Instagram stories, will have labels, as well as a link to the explanation from a fact checker. Additionally, they announced they have disrupted 4 networks of accounts, pages, and groups that were coordinating to spread false information. The networks originated in Iran and Russia. The company did not change its recently released policy that allows politicians to lie in ads. Why do we care? Facebook is setting the tone for a lot of conversations around privacy and ethics. These moves send mixed messages. Facebook increases security for candidates, but not for all users. They label misinformation from users as fake, but not from candidates. They label state-controlled media, but not all information actors. Inconsistent messages are confusing to customers and to the marketplace, and this story is ongoing. LastPass has new security research out, and because data like this is catnip, here we go. Some highlights. More than half of businesses globally have employees using multi-factor authentication. Password sharing is a common practice in most businesses. Many departments or teams may have just 1 or 2 licenses for a service that needs to be accessed by several employees or shared with external contractors or organizations. Businesses with fewer than 1,000 employees tend to have the highest rates of password reuse at 10 to 14 times. At the same time, the FBI has issued an alert about the use of specific attacks being used to avoid two-factor authentication. The FBI alert specifically warned about SIM swapping, vulnerabilities in online pages handling multi-factor authentication operations, and the use of transparent proxies. Why do we care? Besides being fodder for cybersecurity conversations with customers, this highlights the important role of people and education in security. The FBI alert is clearly marked as a warning and not an attack on the use of MFA, but instead provides more stories for education and awareness. Links in the show notes. Google employees in Zurich, Switzerland met this week to discuss unionization, despite the company's efforts to cancel the meetings. Google workers have been organizing in increasing numbers over issues recently around sexual harassment, pay equity, and company participation in controversial government contracts. Google's office in Zurich is among its largest outside of its main campus. Why do we care? Unionization in tech and white-collar positions has generally been considered unlikely, but discontent among employees has grown and activism has increased in the past year. Whether or not unions are formed, management would be wise to consider workers' concerns more closely, particularly with the IT skills gaps and worker shortages. VentureBeat has coverage of Microsoft's new security initiative. Quote, Microsoft announced a new initiative to combat threats specifically targeted at the firmware level and data stored in memory, secured core PCs. Microsoft partnered with chip and computer makers to apply security best practices of isolation and minimal trust to the firmware layer or the device core that underpins the Windows operating system. Secured core PCs will be available from Dell, Dynabook, HP, Lenovo, Panasonic, and Surface. Microsoft hasn't released a full list of secured core PCs, but 2 examples include HP's Elite Dragonfly and Microsoft's Surface Pro X. End quote. These are specifically designed for industries like financial services, government, and healthcare. They're also meant for workers who handle highly sensitive IP, customer, or personal data that poses high-value targets for nation-state attackers. Why do we care? While focusing on features isn't the focus of this podcast, new layers of security that focus on specific industries is. Like the question of Facebook only focusing on candidate security, it's worth questioning why this is needed only in specific industries. Today's episode was brought to you by the Killing It podcast. 3 experts, 3 topics, 30 minutes, and 1 focus on making money in IT. Catch the show on your favorite podcatcher or on mspradio.com. Thanks for listening to The Business of Tech. You can find us online at mspradio.com, in your favorite podcatcher, in your news flash for Amazon Alexa-enabled devices, or find episodes on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Like what you hear? Share our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube feeds to help grow the audience, and we'll see you tomorrow.